Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah. Can I make you groove now? Yes, I can. So you can get this groove in the back of a can. I can make it around the world when it holds in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. It's a popcorn world. It's a popcorn world.
Well, the last of the major pro sports leagues is off and rolling, and college basketball is ready to go as well. So you know what time it is. It's Bet Online time, y'all. And Bet Online remains your top spot for all your live betting action and content. What's up, y'all? It's your man, Lloyd Spencer. Listen, NFL, college football, UFC, NHL, all are in full swing, and Bet Online is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. All the hoops betting action, along with every sport available at your fingertips, with both desktop and mobile access at any time. So head to the BetOnline.ag website, BetOnline today, and remember to use your promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline is where the game starts. Y'all better get on over there, Mike.
You're now listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Fern Creek Hall of Famer, Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course, Mama Noise's man, Lloyd Spence. And now, it's time for BLEAV in the ACC.
Well, with only 2 and possibly 3 weeks left in the season, things got real interesting after last week because Florida State took care of business and so did the University of Louisville. And now our show is, you know what, Kendrick?
What?
You can, that's fine if you want to bring your broom out to talk about sweeps, that's fine. Because guess what, Kendrick? We ain't on that.
What?
We ain't on that. You know
what? I got cold.
This is what we on, Kendrick.
I got cold I got cold in my basement.
You know what it is? He's petty. Charlie, this is the petty side of Kendrick that you don't understand. So he wants to come in with his little broom because he literally wants to brag about the Cowboys sweeping a team that is starting an undrafted quarterback who literally still lives with his parents.
When they had full staff in week 1.
What does that?
When they lost 40-0. When they lost 40-0.
You know what?
You know the combined score of the 2 games was 89-17.
Hey Kendrick, you know what? I'm gonna let you.
Not really. I got cold. It got cold. I'm in the basement. You know I'm in the basement. I got
it's totally
cold.
Okay. You know why?
Cold.
I understand, bro.
And then like we're cleaning up around here. You know what? It's almost Thanksgiving, so we cleaning up around the house. I just happen to have a
Charlie. I'll talk to you, Charlie. Have you seen the movie Groundhog's Day? You know how the guy keeps reliving the same thing every year. Kendrick and I do this every year. He brings out that stupid broom every year for the past 25 years, and then at the end of the year,
because they keep sweeping the Giants.
It's great. Listen, and that's the only team they'll sweep. They won't beat anybody else. You'll be sitting by me at the end of the season.
That's not true. They'll win other games. They've already won other games. They've already won other games, silly.
You'll be sitting by me, silly, at the end of the season,
I know
like you
this.
always are.
I know
And this year, bring better wings and meatballs because the ones you had last year were trash.
No, my wings are fantastic.
I'll let you have this time.
And look, I
Where
know
y'all have this party?
In our minds, I think
it'd be somewhere. It'd be somewhere in January.
It'll be sometime in January because the Cowboys are not going to disappoint. They're going to lose at some point.
It'll be in January because it'll be in the playoffs where Dallas will actually be, unlike the Giants.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Losing again for the 30th time in a row.
Hey, that's why I got to take my small victories.
I feel you, bro. Listen, do what you got to do. That's why I'm not trying to take this from you.
But I was cold. And I hadn't really said anything all week.
It's just completely okay. I'm not on that. I've told you repeatedly, we are on Texas Rangers business right now until further otherwise.
Honestly, that's part of the reason why I did it, because you was out of control last week.
I'm gonna be out of control for the next 3-4 months. I was just telling you.
Lord.
I'm literally planning a birthday party surrounded around the Texas Rangers. What are you talking about? So there you go. All right. We're sorry, Charlie, that you had to be a part of any of that. Because we have much more important things going on in the ACC.
I'm glad I couldn't hear any of that.
Like the Louisville Cardinals and the Florida State Seminoles, who are playing
collision course.
Best football at the right time.
The collision course.
It does feel like a collision course at this point. I turned to both my esteemed colleagues and asked them both, what do you guys, coming out of last weekend, what do you guys feel about this possible inevitability? Louisville with 2 ways to get in, win outright against Miami, or a North Carolina loss. Either way, they're in.
Even it's easier if they do go ahead and just win on Saturday.
Right.
Because after that, it gets so convoluted. I mean, pretty much a lot has to happen for them not to make it. But college football is nuts. And so anything could happen. So they would do themselves a solid by just going ahead and winning the game on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you would like to see. Unfortunately, it's going to be a tough one.
Yes, it is.
You know, Miami, to me, of course, their defense is solid, and you know they're a good football team. Unfortunately, they've lost some games, one that they shouldn't have lost. And then the other ones that they've lost, the other 3, I think were on the road pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. With Van Dyke, not sure what's going on with him. He started out really, really well early on, and then all of a sudden, it seems like he can't get right, or do what he needs to do to help in.
Well, to borrow a line from the great Charlie Ward, I hope this ain't the week he figures it out.
Right.
Yeah, I don't, to be honest with you, Charlie, I was stunned. I don't keep up with their week-to-week news like that. And I was kind of stunned when he wasn't in there. And I said, well, is he injured? Is he hurt? They're like, no, we just need something else. And to their credit, the kid was playing decent. He wasn't horrible. He wasn't great, but he wasn't horrible. And he was making it an interesting game, and then the bottom fell out. Poor kid. I guess he broke his arm. Is that what happened?
Yeah, he broke it. He broke it. So he was. He
was okay.
No, I mean, I never felt threatened by him.
Right.
So once we got to a point where the game was, it was close.
Yeah.
And then we took a 14-point lead. He was making like a certain type of throw. So the only throws that he was making were some deep throws. Everything else was really, I mean, he missed some throws, guys wide open. But I never felt threatened by him. And then once we shut down the running game, I thought we were in the driver's seat for sure.
Yeah. So then they went back to Van Dyke, and you immediately saw why. Oh, that's why they're sitting. Yeah, because he gave them nothing. And to be fair, they'd already snatched the confidence out of his chest. So I don't know what he had left to give, because he came in like a quarterback who wasn't supposed to be there. And so
Right.
I don't know. It's interesting because Florida State may have done Louisville a favor. And you hate to say it that way, but by the kid not being available this week, the backup who be moved to the starter role, not being backup, it's probably more advantageous for Louisville to play against Van Dyke than it is the other kid. I don't know.
If Louisville can get some pressure on Van Dyke, yeah. But the thing is, and U of L's defensive front has been great all year, but they're going up against the best offensive line they've seen all season. Miami's offensive line, both lines for Miami are really, really talented. That's why it's so surprising that Miami's had its struggles. And I guess I don't want to put it all on a kid, but I mean, the quarterback play has been so inconsistent. I think that's their biggest problem. But up front, I mean, Miami can compete with just about anybody. They kept them in the game last Saturday against Florida State.
Yeah, it's
defensive line. Yes, their line play is solid. Both sides. I thought their defense is what kept the game close.
I thought it was too. Yeah.
Because offensively, if you take away any of their big plays, I mean, that's essentially what it was. I mean, first half was their run game, hidden, popping big. And then the second half, it was mainly, like big throws, big play that kept them in the game, but kept the offense moving. But defensively is where, they were able to keep the game close.
So, like I said, it was an interesting game. And then coming out of another interesting game on Thursday, the whole game was I don't know how to describe that Virginia game, honestly.
Weird.
It was all over the place.
It was all over the place.
And then, to me, the strangest part of the game, honestly, was the 5 minutes after Virginia got its final score. Because it was like in the third quarter, because Jack Plummer started having an out-of-body experience, and he just started doing really, really ridiculous stuff. And you going, why are you doing that? Like, why are you rushing? Why are you throwing it? What are you doing? Are you okay? And I hate this. This is going to sound, I'm telling you in advance, Charlie, this is going to sound terrible, but I don't think I'm wrong. If the injury had not occurred, I'm not sure U of L recovers, because that time that it took to get the young man off the field, it kind of calmed Louisville down, and then it sent Virginia into a whole other mind space. And when they came back on the field, they looked like two totally different teams. And so it's an unfortunate circumstance, obviously, but it may have been, and this is a horrible thing to say about a horrible situation, but it may have been kind of that blessing in disguise. So I don't know. It was a very strange game. Very strange game.
Yeah.
But they scored on the play.
No, they scored on that play. I'm saying once that play happened and the young man Jones went out of the game, and it took so long to kind of resolve that, Louisville finally, when they came back in, they just calmed down. Everything just kind of calmed all the way back down. And then they hit those two big plays, and the defense kind of settled back in. Everybody was just kind of, they found a way to kind of capture the game. But it was just, before that, it was a little helter-skelter for a minute there.
It was, they hit those two big plays.
Yeah.
And that was it. I mean, Plummer
Well,
did
but he
hit
set
the
him up
long
well.
pass.
Like he set him up well. He didn't. It wasn't just those. I don't think, because if you go back and look at the play-by-play, he hits a couple little dinks, the normal Jack Plummer stuff. A few little dinks here, dinks there, and softened up the defense, and then he hit the 2 plays.
Well, he hit the 1 play. The other play was Isaac Garendo.
Well, Isaac did all of that. Isaac did all of that. Yeah, he was amazing.
He's so funny because they had Garendo in the Monday press conference, and they were talking because he's a big guy, and so I mean, and he's thought of as a power back, but like he's like. I ran track in high school. He's like, he was a sprinter. He's like he ran the 100, 200, and 4x100. He said,
"I put some respect on my name."
He's like, I just put 35 pounds on it since high school, so people don't remember that. Then I'm fast. But yeah, when he breaks through the line, he has been a godsend for them because he's been pretty good for them as a backup anyway. When Jordan is gone, Jordan needs a rest or whatever. But since Jordan has been injured, Garendo's been fantastic. And
he has. He really has.
And and he was talking about, he came from Wisconsin where they ran the ball all the time. So it was like, what made you, want to go play for Jeff Brom, who throws it all the time? And he was like, I'm going to learn different aspects of the game. I'm going to learn how to catch the ball out of the backfield and picking up the blitz and stuff like that and being able to run more. So he's been a godsend for U of L this year.
Well, that's why he came there. He didn't realize that wasn't going to happen. He's going to be back in the Wisconsin offense because the strength of the team is running it. I mean, let's just be honest.
It is. It's a Big Ten team. It's the most Big Ten team that Jeff Brom's had.
With a little twist, a little small twist. So, guys, we have ourselves it appears a title race. Like everybody just got to Louisville's got to take care of their business. Florida State is in, but we got ourselves possibly a game here. I'll ask the team that's in, Charlie. Who would you prefer to face, Louisville or North Carolina? Or does it matter?
At this point, it doesn't matter because they're both good teams. They both have strengths, just like every team has strengths and weaknesses. I know Florida State has prepared themselves with the players that they have, the experience that they have, the games that they played, not just this year, but over the course of their time. And so they're prepared to play in this type of game. Louisville and North Carolina. North Carolina was there last year. And so they've had this experience again. I think they were there last year. Or was it Duke?
It was Carolina. I think it was Carolina, I think.
It was Carolina. Yeah, I don't think it was Duke. Yeah.
No, it wasn't Duke.
So they've been there before, and Louisville, of course, they just need to continue to improve each week in the sense of just being dominant in some form of fashion, just so they can. I know they'll have confidence going in, but it plays a big part when you're playing good, solid football. I'm just using this last game as an example, where they playing at home, or they're playing Virginia. As we know, Virginia's been trending upwards all season. Mm-hmm. And, they find themselves down, in the fourth quarter and having to find a way to fight back, which is a good trait to have because you need those type of games. You just didn't think that it'll be, at home against Virginia. But that's a good thing to experience as well, because you need those type of experiences in tough games to be able to be down, make plays. And so I think, both teams will be, a very good opponents when it's all said and done. And we should have a very good football game.
Well, I'm very curious to see how Louisville handles this weekend. And I do agree with you, Charlie. I don't think at this point they're going to lose focus at all. It feels like they are locked in. What will be interesting is going back to your guys' earlier point. I can make a case that this might be the most physical team that they've played this year, especially in the trenches. And so what'll be interesting is to see how they match that physicality early on. If they can match it like with the same level of intensity, then they should have success. But I'm curious to know if they I don't think there's a home field advantage. Now that's the one thing Louisville will have going for them, because I don't think Hard Rock is a home field advantage for Miami at all. In fact, I'd argue that there will probably be, for what could be a historic day, there'll probably be as many Louisville fans there as there are Miami fans.
Yeah, because Louisville fans are weird. They'll travel, but they don't go to the home games.
Right. They love
so weird.
They love the vacation. Yeah, so it's going to be a strange
They don't fill
game.
up their own stadium. It's so weird.
But they may pack 20,000, 30,000 into this game, like real talk. It's kind of funny because it reminds me of when we went, Kendrick, to the Russell Athletic Bowl that year. And I'm thinking, on the day of Louisville, Kentucky, this is a terrible, decision by the administration to have Louisville go to Orlando to play a bowl game on the day of the Louisville, Kentucky basketball game. And that place was packed. It was half Louisville in that stadium.
Yeah.
And so, and ironically, that was against Miami. So
yeah,
they travel well.
Yeah, they beat Miami to death that game. They
really did. That was a fun
Teddy
game.
Bridgewater and Devontae Parker.
So go ahead. You got something?
No, I was going to add more to the game that we were talking about. I didn't think
absolutely. Go ahead.
To the records, that shows that you're 8 games back. But I didn't think you'd want to show that.
I took a lot of risks last week. Most of them did not pay off.
No, but now U of L, they've never won at Miami, and so that's huge too. They're 0-6. I think is the record. 0-6 all time at Miami. They've had some classics down there. They've had some duds down there. Last time they played down there, they got blown off the field, and so it's a huge win. I mean, it's a huge game for them. And I said, Jeff Brown put it right on. He's like, these next 2 games against Miami and against Kentucky are the 2 most talented teams they've played all season. That's not a knock on anybody else, but it's just true.
Right.
Outside of Notre Dame. And so they need to get healthy more than anything. They need Jordan and they need Thrash to come back. And so if they can get them back, it'll be okay. Huh?
They've been in and out. They played a little bit in both games, but not enough. To be honest with you, Louisville has kind of caught a break in both games. They've needed them in both games, but people have stepped up enough to where they didn't have to have them. And it worked out perfectly. Like you said earlier, Garendo has basically become the 1A to Jawan's 1. Yeah. And the young kid that caught the touchdown Saturday, I can't
Huggins, Bruce.
Yeah, he stepped up his game tremendously. So they're trying to not overwork, and I know what they're doing. They're saying we need them for this Kentucky game more than any other game, because the Kentucky game, if they win this game this week, the Kentucky game not only becomes a game to where they beat their rival, but it's the final off chance that you might possibly, chaos may reign today and they could possibly sneak into something greater. If nothing less, sneak into a greater New Year's Bowl 6, New Year's 6 Bowl, whatever. How would we say that?
I think
but chaos could reign today as well.
I mean, it could. I think.
I don't think it will, but
right. I think they're at least going to the Orange Bowl, unless something wacky happens, and wacky happens, and like it's also what I wanted to talk about too, was how confident are we in Florida State maintaining that 4 spot in the playoff, even if they win out? Because it kind of feels like if Washington wins out, they're going to have a good spot. Washington might leapfrog Florida State, and then they'll
Washington's in a good spot.
U of L knock U of L out of the Orange Bowl, and so how are we feeling about that?
I'll say this before Charlie goes. I think Florida State has to blow their next two opponents completely out the water. Like those games can't be close anymore. Like this is the time where Florida State's everything's got to click, and I'm sure it's going to click this weekend. But a dominant win against Florida would probably keep them solidly in place. But any type of leakage, whatsoever, I think Washington is in prime position to, because this game this weekend that they play against Washington is playing
Oregon State, I think it's
Oregon State.
Oregon State.
That's on the road, which they have proven all season long. They play well on the road. So if they get another top 25 win on the road, and Florida State has another kind of, I don't call it a squeaker, but it's just not a visually dominant win. The college football team committee has proven that they only value the number on the win side. They don't value what the other number. So Florida could win 24-7, and it's dominant on the defensive side. They don't care if it doesn't say 40-something to 7. It's not a dominant win to them. So, thoughts, Charlie Ward.
It would be baffling to me if there's a one loss, because there's going to be one loss team in the top 4. I mean, there's going to be one, because you think about who's in the top 4 and who they're going to have to play within these next few weeks. They're playing each other in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
So, you talk about Washington, Oregon. You talk about Bama, Georgia. And then you got Ohio State, Michigan. I mean, those teams are playing each other. And so there's going to be one loss, or potentially be no losses for those teams that have 0 losses, which will clear up the whole picture.
Right.
But I don't see a team that hasn't lost and they played some quality opponents just like the other ones in there that's in the top 4 or 5 sitting home, out of the college football playoffs. Now they've done some crazier things, so I wouldn't put it past them, but that would be one for the ages, which is possible. There's always a first, but that would be one for the ages for a team that has 0 losses in a Power 5, sitting home from the CFP with a team that has 1 loss in the mix. So that would set a different type of precedent, and it would definitely, it would be different. I'll just say that.
Well,
but
let me just go ahead, John.
I think, from a Florida State standpoint, the wins that we're having doesn't seem like you say 24-7 against Pitt. That's defensive, that's defensive
dominance.
That's dominant. And offensively, of course, we struggled, but Pitt is a tough deal because you're dealing with the elements, a lot of other things you're having to deal with. But we found a way to win that game 24-7. To me, that's a sign of versatility from your team. When your offense is not clicking on all cylinders, the defense is the one that steps up. But they've been stepping up all year, pretty much.
And everybody's having those kinds of games. That's the part that really throws me off. But there's a sneaky thing that the committee did that I want us to pay attention to as well. You notice that in the top 10, Missouri, who's a 2-loss team, jumped Louisville.
I noticed that.
And I said, and in my mind, that is to protect SEC teams. So if Georgia were to somehow lose that Alabama game, the quality of that Missouri win is still very strong. So there's a possibility that win or lose in the SEC championship game, Georgia doesn't go anywhere. It's Alabama that reaps the benefits of that win or loss or whatever. Because again, like I say every year, that's when at the end of the season, the TV show is going to kick in at some point. And then what do we know is going to drive the ratings? So go ahead.
How does Alabama get in and with the same record with Texas?
Listen, you and I are on the same page with that. I don't think Alabama, to me, should have a path. But they're going to say that they do because of what we just said. Because, it's Alabama. And Nick's going to, he's going to bellyache and lobby and go on every sports talk show in America to lobby for his team. So it's whatever it is. I personally think Washington should be there over I keep saying it, over Michigan. Michigan's Penn State win is not as impressive to me as what Washington has done all season long. Like, they've gone on the road and beaten Oregon. They've gone on the road and beaten USC. That's impressive to me, man. Now their defense is not good, but offensively, Michael, huh?
I was going to say their defense is
suspect.
Oh my God, it's terrible. But you got to score 40 points to beat them, because Michael Penix is slanging that thing around the field. Which, by the way, let's take a side break for that before we get to these. I think Michael Penix might be the guy. I'm not asking you to reveal your vote, Charlie, but I am asking you: is that a Heisman?
Or...
Has he put a Heisman-worthy performance on the field?
I mean, yes, he has.
Okay.
There's others that are in the same boat in a sense.
Is there a non-quarterback? Maybe Marvin Harrison may get one out of respect for what he's done. Other than that, is there another non-quarterback that has put something on the field to make it to New York?
Non-quarterback?
Well, non-quarterback. Because at this point, I feel like it's going to be Penix, Nix, Harrison.
I don't think Harrison's going to be there.
Huh?
I don't think Harrison's going to be there.
He might.
Yeah.
He might.
He has a good game against Michigan.
Yeah, and his numbers, right? He could if he dominates in that.
If he dominates Michigan, maybe, but yeah, just like right now, because they were so bad offensively at the beginning of the season, I don't think he makes it. But outside, but Georgia's tight end would have been there if he didn't get hurt.
He had to got hurt. I think Bowser would have absolutely been there. I think this might be Michael Penix to lose at this point. Like, he's kind of separated himself. And the best part about him is that he's gone head to head with pretty much everybody not named Drake May that would have been a contender, and he did his thing.
You gotta put Jaden Daniels in there.
I think Jaden Daniels got to go in there. I agree, 100%.
I mean, that guy has great numbers, and just think against Alabama. I mean, he gets hurt. He gets hurt against Alabama, and the game went sideways for them.
You could argue Jaden Daniels has single-handedly kept that entire season afloat.
Yeah.
Their defense is not good.
No, it's not good.
It's not good at all. And
it's amazing to see so many traditionally defensive strong teams this year not be very good. LSU, that's usually not their weakness, but they are not good.
I'll ask Charlie, is this more of a knock on defenses, or is this a credit to these offenses, these new innovative offenses and these offensive coordinators? Because we are seeing stuff we've never seen before, like more and more wide receivers lining up in the backfield, tight ends getting more involved in the offensive play calling and stuff like that. Is it that, or is it something else, Charlie?
No, I think it is some offensive things, but tackling is tackling. I mean, you
That's
got to be able
USC's
to
issue.
Oh my God.
USC just doesn't like tackling.
They should be running those drills on a loop every week.
It's like, why do
and
they
you
even
got
have a weight room?
you got to be able to cover guys. Like you got to know who you're covering, and you those types of things. And then in the run game, you got to have your run fits where everyone's taking their lane and not two guys in the same gap. Just having those breakdowns, they play a big part. Yes, the evolution of the offensive game has been around for quite some time, since the late 1900s, but it's I still think you have to be sound in what you're doing, and guys have to hit their gaps and be willing to tackle and cover. Because when you have bust, you can't allow that bust to be you can't have multiple. If you get one bust and it goes for a touchdown, then that okay, cool. But when it's like multiple bust after bust assignments, that's where you get bad. And you look at the offense, be like, hey, this is a good day for us because they can't stop us. And defensively, you're just trying to figure that thing out as a coordinator, and you're starting to see more and more offensive and defensive coordinators getting fired in the middle of the year.
Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird.
I'm
I don't want to go off on a tangent here, Charlie, but and Kendrick, but I don't understand the defensive back cornerback position anymore. Here's what I mean by that. There used to be a rule where when you're covering somebody, you look back at the ball or look back at you see where the ball's coming and try to make a play that way. I don't understand this thing where you never look at the ball and you just can somebody help me? You're a coach, Charlie. Help me with this new thing where you never look at the ball or where it's coming from or anything. You just put your hands up or try to make a stop that way. I'm very curious to know why that has become a thing. Because you see it not just in the college, but even in the pro ranks. They don't even try to look for the ball.
Well, there's two ways that I think they teach it. One is to play through the eyes and the hands of the receiver. So that's the one where you don't look at the football. And then the other one is to get contact, where most times you get contact anyway, and then you take a peek
Right.
back to see where the ball may be. And so those are the two techniques that a lot of coaches are coaching today. I think it's been taught that way for quite some time, but it's more so just two different types of technique.
Which do you prefer? I'm curious.
I think they're both good at different times.
Okay.
Those situation, and like sometimes you may not be able to get your head around, but you have to play through the hands and the eyes of the receiver. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then those that turn around, sometimes they get lost. When you taking a peek at the receiver, the ball is either short and you're taking a peek, or the ball is long and the receiver get disconnected in some form of fashion. But you've seen guys get interceptions. You've also seen guys give up touchdowns. So I don't think there's a specific technique that works better. I think it's a matter of who is doing it and how well you can do it.
And I think sometimes the DB is just beat, so he's just getting his hands up.
I would say most of the time you see guys get a PI call. Is what you get. It's I don't know. It's just a weird thing.
It's better to get a PI call than give up 6.
Well, for sure in college, the PI call is not as damaging as it is in the NFL, where it's at the spot of the ball,
where it's literally a play. Just run down there and throw the ball up and try to draw a PI.
That's what a lot of teams are doing.
Jeff Saturday admitted that the other day on Get Up.
Oh yeah, for sure. shout out to Russell Wilson, who was, you know,
Who was that?
that was a great play. I can't take anything away from the play. It was a great
I'm
play.
talking about what you just did.
What I do?
It looked like you was swatting.
Oh, it was a gnat. I don't know what's going on. It was a gnat. It freaked me out. I was like, what is that in my face? Okay, I'm sorry. Let's get to the games. We definitely need to get to the games at that point. All right. So obviously Louisville hung in there to beat Virginia. Florida State hung in there to beat Miami. But there were some other games. Shout out to Virginia Tech and Boston College, who never seemed to disappoint. Virginia Tech ain't put up 48 points in 5 years. And all of a sudden, now they're an offensive juggernaut.
They're a solid team. I don't know. They're a good football team. The quarterback is coming around.
Not 48 points, though, Charlie.
Well, it's Boston College.
Well, that is touche, Charlie. Touche. Clemson.
Y'all gonna stop talking about Clemson Tigers.
I am going to continue to talk about Clemson
Tigers.
That's this dude.
I'm
I present to you.
Charlie, was I wrong? Was I wrong about Clemson? How many losses do they have?
They have 4.
Okay. And there may be one more.
I give you credit for saying they're going to have 4 losses.
Yeah.
But however, you say they're going to lose every week. So if he's going on how
I do
you
not
pick them to
believe.
Lose.
I do not believe.
You need to start believing. That's why you're in third.
No. That's not the reason I'm in third. That has nothing to do with it. It's
stock.
You
better get you some of that Clemson stock.
No, I'm good on that.
Because
I get that Clemson stock is you start paying some NIL money. Until then, I'm out. Okay, NC State and Wake Forest. NC State, you can argue they've kind of turned their season around. They've been playing some good football here lately. So now my question is this enough for Dino to keep his job?
Well, I'm glad that they're not firing him or letting him go like at the end of the year. I mean,
they've already said it.
No, I'm just saying, like some of these teams are firing a coach, a la Texas A&M, 3 games before the end of the season.
Oh, you saying they haven't fired him yet?
Yes.
Yeah, they'll probably let him finish the season. That's the decent thing to do, right?
You would think.
Because he's been the best coach they've had in a long time.
Yeah, he's been the longest tenured.
He's the longest tenured coach.
He's the longest tenured, right? So at least let him finish the year. I don't know if it's enough to help him keep his job. This turned out to be an excellent game. I honestly thought Duke had this one at some point. Like Duke was really rolling, and I was starting to think, man, Riley might not make it back. Like he may have lost his job. This kid's pretty good.
Yeah,
I don't think he needs to come back either. Agreed. Agreed.
Young quarterback I thought when he came into the Florida State game late, he was better than the guy that they were putting out there.
Yeah. The middle guy, the second guy, yeah.
Yeah, Blevins or Belvin. But I thought he was solid. He threw the ball well. You could tell he kind of knew what to do with it, where to go with it. Had good arm strength. And then this week happened where he showed us he's capable of handling the moment. He was pretty good.
He was. Listen, I think Duke's got a bright future. They're gonna be all right.
If they keep their coach.
Well, that's the other thing. It may be hard.
It's going to be hard to keep.
It's going to be hard to hold on to him at this point because if he can do that at Duke with all those restrictions, he's going to do well somewhere else. And I believe in one pick, Michigan, no surprise, in beating Penn State. Washington did what they do. They beat Utah. This game, I was a little surprised by this. I thought Ole Miss would have been a little more competitive, but they were not.
Georgia's Georgian.
Georgia is Georgian. And then in consistent fashion, USC and Oregon, USC, like we've said all season, they just can't stop anybody. So why start stopping people now? You know,
They did hold them to 36. I said they did hold them to 36 points.
Listen, for USC, that's progress.
Right.
That is massive progress because Oregon's been putting up some real numbers this season. So you got to give them, you got to take your hat off for them. Maybe they're moving in the right direction.
Two of the safest bets in college football are the unders in Iowa games and the over in USC games.
So, if I ask the question, what was the score of the Washington game?
The score of the Washington game was 35-28.
So I asked this question. So Washington is
I know where you're
top.
going. Yep.
Utah is 28. I mean, Utah is, I'm not sure what their rank is at this point. They're probably somewhere in the mid-range, like 18.
Something like that. I'll look it up for you, Charlie.
So I'm saying when we were talking about Florida State, just going back to Florida, we were talking about Florida State and blowing out teams. And I mean, these teams not doing that either against quality teams, I should say.
Yeah.
So, yes, you're going to have your close games and you're going to have your blowouts, meaning there will be games like this weekend, North Alabama. Yes, if the game is close, Florida State against North Alabama, then yes, I would say
right.
struggling.
Yeah.
But even against Florida, where it's a rivalry game on the road, the game could potentially be one very similar to like it was Miami. It was we had a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, and then we gave up the long play to where they can cut it to 7 points. But once we got the 14-point lead, I felt comfortable, with where we were. And if we didn't give up that long play, they probably wouldn't have scored again. They probably would have kicked the field goal. But that was one of the only ways that they were going to be able to, score was big play. So I'm just saying these teams that they're talking about leapfrogging someone that's undefeated. They're in the same boat in that regard, where they're not really dominant. They're dominant on one side of the ball, but they're getting stops when they need them on the other.
And by the way, I fully expect that Florida game to be close. That Florida is right now 5-5. They need one more win to get bowl eligible.
They'll get that this week, won't they? Because
I would assume they're going to get that this week
when the SEC plays like high school teams.
Right. I'm assuming they're going to get that this week. But you know what?
No. They're on the road.
Who they play this
Missouri.
week? Oh, they're not getting that this week. No, they're not getting that
Missouri.
Yeah, no, they're not getting that this week. They are absolutely not getting that this week. So,
I don't know who did.
Say it again.
I said I'm not sure who did their scheduling.
Yeah, I don't know who did that. That was crazy.
The SEC.
so they're going to need that game to get that game. They're going to sell out to that game. So I think that game against Florida is going to be like a close game. They're going to fight with everything they got. So I don't know. The way the committee values certain conferences so much more than others is a little. It's a little unnerving sometimes.
The committee values the SEC and the Big Ten. That's it. I don't know why they. I don't know why they value the Big Ten so much outside of Ohio State. That conference is. I mean, it's unwatchable. And then that Michigan Penn State game, they may as well had on leather helmets. Michigan ran the ball 35 straight plays.
It was unbelievable. You know what it is, and this is not going to be popular.
Get that off my screen.
You know what this is, and this is not going to be popular preaching, but it's probably not wrong. You got to get some younger, fresher eyes in those committee playoff rooms. And I think sometimes when you have old traditional eyes, you come with old traditional values and thought processes. and so you get old traditional results.
That assessment can be made about a lot of things.
That is very true. That is very, very true. But I think it's time to put some fresh blood in that room so that you can get, because the reality is there's no way you can not watch Washington and say what they have done is not better than anything Ohio State and Michigan has done this season. It's just, I'm sorry. And with all due respect to Ohio State, I'm not saying they're not a good team. I'm saying I see Ohio State putting up consistent 40-point games against quality top 25 teams.
Because their offense has been so up and down because quarterback play has been inconsistent.
So the eye test has got to count for something, doesn't it?
You would think.
Ohio State?
Yeah. I don't think Ohio State's the second best team in the country.
And then Michigan doesn't play a ranked opponent until what week was it? Week 10 last week?
Right.
I'm like, I don't. But that's because, and not even not ranked opponents. I mean, they played the bottom of the Big Ten the whole time too. I mean, they didn't play Iowa.
And to hear people say the way that they're just dominating. Of course, are we not? Are we all blind? What is this? You know, this feels like the emperor who wore no clothes. Like the dude is naked, and you're all trying to say he's wearing clothes. No, they're just beating bad teams. That's not impressive.
They'll put the Big Ten up there all the time. They'll put the SEC. They're gonna put the SEC up there every time. And it's, to me, I mean, I don't know how you can make the argument that the Pac-12 is not the best conference this year, but they will make that. They will make that argument. They might put it ahead of the Big Ten, but they're not going to. God forbid they put it ahead of the SEC.
I'll say this:
the SEC
don't do that. I'll say this: the SEC has been better this year than it's been in past years. They've got at least a few better teams. A little bit.
Do they?
Well, a little bit.
Outside of Alabama and Georgia, and maybe I guess you can throw Missouri a bone.
You throw Missouri in there, and Ole Miss and LSU.
Ole Miss is Ole Miss. Ole Miss is they'll have a good record, but when it comes to actually beating good teams, they never do.
Right. Right. That's the only bad part about it. So
Tennessee is Tennessee, and then the rest of the conference. I mean.
But I don't think those teams are better than right. I agree with you. Yeah. All right, here we go. Week 12 games, people. We got Boston College,
Auburn's terrible,
and Pitt, or Charlie, as what Kendrick and I start calling them, the game.
Who's watching this?
I'd say, people in Boston might watch it if there's nothing else to do. Like if they get a snowstorm,
there is something.
Like if they get a snowstorm, and then the city calls in and says, "Hey, everybody's on emergency, stay home."
They'll go sledding. There's something else to do, especially in those cities.
Right, true. It's probably true. Who you going with, Charlie?
I'm gonna go with Pitt because they're playing at home.
Right. I'll go with them because they're playing on that asphalt in their football stadium.
I think we'll all sweep on that one. Let's see here. We got Duke and Virginia.
This is a tough one.
I hate that for Virginia. They just keep running into.
No, I'm gonna go with Virginia because they're playing at home. I think they've been trending upwards all season, been getting better. And last week, I thought they didn't hurt themselves in that realm. They were in the game late and gave up two long touchdowns, to lose it. And Duke, of course, is playing well with their new quarterback. They were on the road last week. So be interested to see, but I think I'm gonna go with Virginia.
Okay.
This game's hard.
You got the two freshman quarterbacks competing against each other.
Yeah, and I was super impressed with Virginia's quarterback against Louisville.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's got some speed on him. That dude's fast.
He's pretty good. Yeah. Matter of fact, that was their whole running game.
And that's also like, why wasn't he starting before the season?
That's a whole other conversation. That's a whole other. Because I was certainly thinking, Tony, what have you been doing, bro? Like, this dude is clearly better than what you've been running out there all season long. Okay.
And this is a hard one for me. I think I'm gonna go out on a limb and go. And, I don't think it's that much of a limb. I'm gonna go out with Duke though. I'm gonna go with Duke in this game.
Yeah, I went with Duke. I just like Duke's defense,
like
but it's not a lock.
No, it's not a lock at all.
Not a lock.
I can see it going to. I can see Charlie taking the lead.
Absolutely. By the way, Notre Dame is still playing football, guys, and despite what many might feel, this week they're going to do it against Wake Forest. That should be no problem. Yeah.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame.
All right. It gets real interesting this weekend.
This is an interesting one.
Gets real interesting. North Carolina.
I know where Charlie's going.
It's not interesting for me. I'm going Clemson at home. I'm buying some stock right now. I may have to sell it after the season, but right now they're playing good, solid football.
Buy low, sell high, huh?
As long as Shipley's playing, that gives them the two-headed monster running game, and they're on a coach got them playing at a different level, mentality-wise, because he's fired up and he hears all the noise from everybody else, and the players hear it as well. So that's why they're playing inspired football.
Is Florida State their only home loss this season? Has all the rest of their losses been on the road?
Yes.
Yeah, they're not losing 2 games at home. I think this is the game. What time is this game? Is this a 3:30 game? I already know.
3:30 game, yes.
I already know where Lloyd's going. I knew where the two of you all were going before the game even came up. Lloyd picks against Clemson every week.
I just feel like one more loss is coming.
Maybe against South
Carolina. This
Carolina.
one makes the most sense.
Nothing has made sense.
This one makes the most sense.
I'm going with Clemson at home. They're playing well. North Carolina's defense is still North Carolina's defense.
Oh, yeah.
So I think when you juggle the two strengths versus the two weaknesses, I think Clemson's stronger defense outweighs North Carolina's stronger offense.
I'm gonna go with UNC.
You pick UNC every week.
Doesn't matter. At this point,
this is like Clemson's become your Sam Howell.
They have become my Sam Howell. By the way, shout out to Sam Howell.
Put up 52 points in our fantasy league last week.
Right, who's doing everything.
No, he had 60. He had 60.
He's having his moments.
I can't wait for him to beat your Giants.
Now he's still gonna get Ron Rivera fired, but
he ain't getting him fired. Ron Rivera getting Ron Rivera fired.
NC State and Virginia Tech. What we doing here, gentlemen?
I'm going with Virginia Tech because they're playing at home. I believe their quarterback is solid, even though NC State's defense is good, solid as well. And I'm not so on NC State's quarterback.
Yeah, I'm still not sold on NC State's offense. And so I'm going to go with Virginia Tech.
Here's what's interesting. We're all saying that, but quietly, NC State has amassed a 7-3 record and 4-2 in the conference.
Hold on. What was it? What was their score last week? Check it out.
26-6.
Who are they playing?
They play Wake Forest.
Okay, there you go.
But this is coming on the heels of beating Miami 20-6 and beating Clemson 24-17. They're on a 3-game winning streak.
How many points did they score?
That's details, Charlie. They have not scored over 26 points in any of those wins, but they are wins.
They're going on the road to play a team that just scored 48 points. Even though Boston College.
But to your same statement, it is Boston College, though.
But
I don't think NC State could put up 48 against Boston College.
But they may not have to. They may not have to.
That's my point. Like, if there's any kind of defense that's solid, they're going to struggle.
Okay, so you going Virginia Tech. I'm assuming Kendrick is going to join you because you can't afford not to at this point because you guys are tied.
I already go against him on one of my picks. I'm just going Virginia Tech because they're at home and I don't trust NC State's offense.
All right, well, then I have the luxury to go in NC State.
You've got the luxury to do whatever you want.
I can do whatever I want at this point. Right. I can do whatever I want at this point.
Season is closing.
Syracuse and Georgia Tech. Wow.
I'm going with Georgia Tech. We got to go with
you don't have to do Dino like that.
They've been up and down all year, but Syracuse has been down.
Syracuse has been the most consistent.
Y'all don't have to do Dino like that. He's already about to lose his job, and we're going to kick dirt on the man.
Hey, Georgia Tech, you don't know what you're going to get either.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if Syracuse won.
I'm assuming you both going Georgia Tech, right?
Yes.
I'm going to go Syracuse, if only to just throw a little solidarity toward the brothers.
Yeah, okay.
That's the only reason. Louisville and Miami.
This is a tough one.
Huh?
I say this is a tough one. I'm not 100% set on Van Dyke. I just don't know what you're going to get with him. They got a lot of good weapons on offense, but he makes some good throws and then he throws 3 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't function, but their defense is solid. So I'm gonna go with Miami.
Oh, okay.
I think it'll be a good game.
What are you doing here?
Be interested to see how Jake Plummer handles Miami's defense.
I think we're gonna get a turnover filled game between two very inconsistent quarterbacks going against two stout defenses. Okay. I'm gonna give Louisville the edge because I believe a little bit more in their run game with Garendo and Jordan, especially if Jordan is healthy. And so, I'm going with U of L. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a good game. But I do think that when they've gone up against stout fronts in the past this season, like against Notre Dame and against Duke, the line has stepped up in those games. And granted, both of those games are at home. We'll see how it goes on a neutral field.
This will be at home too.
I'm going to go with Louisville. I do wonder, though, how the weather's going to affect them. It's going to be 85 degrees in Miami on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Hadn't been 85 degrees around here. Now, it hasn't been cold, but it hasn't been 85 degrees and humid since October. And so there's no way you can prepare for that.
Tell you guys to hydrate.
You gotta drink water.
How often do we see college kids cramping up because they don't hydrate? So, but I'm gonna go Louisville in this game. I say they win by a field goal, even though their field goal kicker is kind of hit and miss.
When Louisville beat Notre Dame and even the other games they won that were big games, if you want to call them that. The one thing I think that was the Notre Dame was the one I keyed on. It felt like Jeff kind of shrunk the playbook for Jack and said, I don't need you to hit every play, especially not every big play. I just need you to not make mistakes and to take what's there. I think that's what this game will be. I don't think you're going to see him trying to throw the ball to Thrash or whoever down the field 5 times this game. It may be once or twice. They may catch somebody slipping and then they'll throw it. But you're going to see those dink and dunks, take what the defense gives you down the field game. And I think that's the reason why they're going to beat them. It won't be because they're just so talently superior to Miami, because I'm not sure that's true. But I think in the right key spots they are. And if they can get Juwan out the backfield, Garendo out the backfield, doing some special stuff, that'll probably be enough. So I'm gonna say Louisville, maybe by a touchdown. Not much more than that though. Like I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. They just got to win it.
And the thing is, though, with Miami, though, you just don't know with them because they have been blown out and they've been blown out at home. And so you just don't know.
And to Pastor Court's credit in the comments, he said, Georgia Tech did beat Miami. It'll now to that credit,
Miami
Court,
beat
clear, because Miami did some
game.
really stupid stuff at the end of that game. But at the same time, that might be also the reason why Louisville can win that game. So it'll be interesting to see. And then, of course, I think we're all clear on this one. I don't even have to.
Now go ahead and try to make up some ground, Lord.
No, not with this one. I'm good on that. But in this BLEAV one game pick, though, maybe here we go. We got Michigan and Maryland, Minnesota. By the way, we'll get the results of the. We'll get the results of Harbaugh's
appeal
thing tomorrow, right?
I guess
he'll go to court and we'll find out.
Sharon used to coach here, the coach that was on TV.
Oh, I know Sharon. I'll be honest with you. I was like, stop, Sharon. You gotta. He was overly emotional, in my opinion. Like,
come on, the man be emotional. He
can listen. He can do whatever he wants. I'm just saying that
Charlie's saying that in his Charlie way. Hey. He's laughing too, but he's just
it's okay for him to do it. Just know that, just like Jordan, when you're emotional, that meme lives on in perpetuity.
But it's
okay to be emotional. Okay. Feeling emotional.
Yeah, I see what you're doing there, Charlie Ward.
His head coach is at home watching
his
the
head
game.
coach wasn't even at home. His head coach was down the street in the hotel.
Was in a hotel around the corner eating filet mignon while they watched the game.
He was at the stadium.
He was there.
He was probably downstairs in the basement somewhere. Minnesota, Ohio State is an interesting one. Oklahoma, BYU, Georgia. We got Georgia, Tennessee in the final game of choice. Washington and Oregon State. I'm gonna say something about this Minnesota, Ohio State. Not necessarily saying I'm gonna pick it yet, but it's an interesting one because Minnesota. Every year since that new coach has been in, I forget his name, and I apologize to him. No disrespect to him.
Is that Fleck? Yeah, it's Fleck.
Yes. Every year since he's been there, he steals one game a season that he should not be winning. He should not even be in that game, and he steals it every year. I'm just saying.
Well,
he hasn't stolen one yet this year.
It's not going to be this year.
But why wouldn't it? If ever there was a game to steal, this would be the game.
Go ahead and pick.
Well, I ain't there yet. Let's see how this I ain't there yet. But I'm not saying I won't. I'm just saying he has stolen a game. You go back and look the last 3 years, he has stolen a game from somebody who was a contender every year since he's been there.
I'm going with Michigan.
So with that being said, those are your choices, Charlie. Who are you
going Michigan?
With? No brainer.
Michigan at Maryland. They're still riding the emotional wave of. I think this is closer together. Like all this drama.
I do agree with that. Their poor persecuted coach.
So a team that doesn't throw the ball, which as a quarterback, I'm like, come on, man. But
especially when your quarterback was a Heisman Trophy candidate 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
For all this stuff started.
I'm like, that's a statement. Like, we're gonna ram this down your throat type of deal. I just think they have a chip on their shoulder. especially at this point, and they're playing a team, Maryland, that's been struggling pretty much all year. They've been up and down, but I think they'll get after them. Their defense is solid, really, really good, actually. And then they're going to just grind you. I mean, that's who they are. I mean, they're up for the O-line award every year because they have offensive linemen that are huge, and they have backs that, is running downhill. And then they have a quarterback now that can throw and run.
Is Corum a first round back?
I don't know about first round. I don't think
first
he's a
round. I don't think.
No.
That's what I said. When I watched him this past weekend, I was like, it's good, but I mean, everybody's good behind that offensive line. I mean,
that offensive line is
sure
tremendous.
matters.
And he's going against Penn State that never wins. That's the Ole Miss of the Big Ten. They never
Yeah,
win.
they don't. They can't win either. Okay. All right. I was just curious. You guys' thoughts on that one. Kenny, which way you going, man?
Let's scroll through the games real quick.
Minnesota, Ohio State still out there. Oklahoma, BYU.
You're all over that. You're all over that Minnesota Ohio State game. I'm gonna let you have that one.
I have not said that I'm taking that game yet. Georgia, Tennessee, and then Washington, Oregon State.
I'll take.
Shout out to DJ Uiagalelei too. Changed the narrative on his.
Hit the button.
No,
it was totally unnecessary.
That was it. I'm giving him a legitimate shout out.
Hit the button.
That is not a flex.
All them teams on there, and that's the one you decided to give a shout out
because he's playing Washington this weekend.
Georgia. I think.
And that was a humble flex.
A flex.
Flexing by saying the man's name.
Yep.
We can't say names now, Charlie. We can't say names.
You've been hitting that flex for 3 years now.
Yes, I have.
I'm going to take Georgia to blow out Tennessee in Knoxville.
To blow out Tennessee. Wow. In Knoxville.
Yeah. Wow. I have no faith in Tennessee whatsoever.
Wow. Okay. Well, since I have nothing to lose whatsoever, I am going to take the Minnesota upset of Ohio State, and because I'm rooting for chaos.
If that game was at Minnesota, I could see it. Maybe. They're not going into Columbus. You're doing.
I am rooting. I am standing in
support
of chaos. I would love to see utter chaos.
You standing on business.
I'm standing on the business. Shout out to Kendrick Perkins. So I'm believing in the chaos. Okay, so those are our picks for this week. I want to give a collective pick, a shout out real quick, if y'all don't mind. And this one is near and dear to all of our hearts. I want to give a shout out to Jimbo Fisher, who has taught the world how to be fired. And let me be very clear what I mean by that. I have the numbers right here in front of me. This is the greatest firing in the history of firings. Like,
it's not even close.
It's not even close. Like, I'm so impressed by this firing that's why we're bringing it up today. So here it is. This is the beauty of this firing. Jimbo Fisher will, in the next 60 days, get $19.4 million. Within the next 120 days, they'll pay him an additional $7.27 million, and then continue to pay him $7.27 million until the year 2031. That's, my friends, is how you get fired. That's how you do it.
Look up Chris Mack's numbers. They're not that. Look up Chris Mack's numbers.
Chris Mack, I gotta look up Chris Mack's numbers.
They're not that. Nobody's that. But
nobody's that. That's never happened before.
When the whole fire Kenny Payne thing comes along, just look up Chris Mack's numbers.
I will. I absolutely will. Kenny got a quality win last night against Coppin State. He said he may have saved his whole season. So
Charlie, I think your high school team could have put up a better fight than Coppin State did yesterday.
Wow. The shade. The shade.
HBC.
The sad part about it, real quick, is like, yeah, Louisville won 61-41, but if you really look at it, Coppin State got a lot better looks at the basket than Louisville did. They just couldn't make them because they're just not a very good team. But they executed their stuff way better than Louisville executed theirs. It's just they weren't very good.
That's hard to say about a team that lost by 20, but
and only scored 41 points.
Right. Right. Wow.
But their execution was a lot better.
Wow. Well, again, Charlie, you are familiar with Jimbo. It's good to see him land on his feet, but do you think he's got? Huh?
It was a home run hire.
Do you? Well, for him, it was for sure.
I mean, they really knocked it out of the park.
For him, it was absolutely a home run hire. Do you think he'll coach anywhere else?
I'm sure he will.
Why? I'm sure he will too, but why?
I would be so done.
You won't see me no more.
That's what we say from the outside looking in and on the streets. But most times when you're in that situation, I mean, you go and find other jobs because you want to stay in the game. Because he may want to go somewhere and be a play caller. That's a different role. I don't think that'll happen because of just ego. But there are other schools out there that's looking at head coaches. And so he may feel like he got a raw deal, which, I mean, the man got fired after beating the team 48 to whatever it was.
50, didn't they? I think they scored 50 in there.
1-10, wasn't it?
Yeah, after a great win. I mean, they fired him after a great win.
I've never heard.
So I'm like, that was already pre-planned or predetermined.
Oh yeah, they met Thursday.
Firing the man after a great, win. And so if I'm him, I'm excited because most times when you get fired is after a bad loss or a loss, or a loss in general. But to get fired after you win, at least you can say I went out as a winner.
Listen,
not everybody finishes the season with a W.
Hey, listen, whether he won that game Saturday or not, the fact that he's going to make $77 million, he went out a winner. I'm sorry. There's no loss here whatsoever.
Yeah, he went out with a W regardless of what happened on the scoreboard.
It didn't even matter. It did not matter. The brother won.
Well, think about that, though. They're getting ready to try to find another coach that they're going to have to pay. They're not going to pay the next coach that amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got one right there. They got one right there.
No, his ego won't let him take that less cut, that pay cut. You think he's going to take that job?
He gave up being a head coach to be the job he's at now. Oh, Bobby P.
But isn't he part of the problem?
Not necessarily.
I don't think Bobby's going to get that job.
I don't think Jimbo getting fired had nothing to do with Bobby Petrino.
I hate to say this, and this is going to sound really bad. I like to tell you guys in advance before I say it. They're probably going to find some young, talented black coordinator and pay him pennies on the dollar, and he'll be the next head coach of Texas A&M.
But whoever it is, I mean, not going to make as much as Jimbo made. I mean,
that's why I'm saying. That's why I said it the way I said it.
They overspent to get him from Florida State when he was already wanting to get out of here anyway, or they were getting ready to want him to get out of here. And so it's kind of a good thing that because no one was going to pay him that amount of money to coach.
But here's the thing, Charlie, just to piggyback on what you just said. No one is going to come in that's quality or proven. I won't say quality, proven. If they know that $75 million is the ceiling, I'm not going to go all the way down to 5 years for 10 unless I've never done it before. But they're not getting Lenning at Oregon. They're not getting Urban Meyer, because I'm hearing actually that he may be headed to Michigan State actually.
Because that's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm hearing Michigan State right there. But they're not going to get any. They're not going to. Lane Kiffin, I heard that name thrown out there. I don't think Lane is leaving Ole Miss for Tech. Why would you leave Ole Miss for Texas A&M? That's not necessarily an upgrade. You got to go compete with Texas and Texas Tech and Houston when you can stay in Ole Miss and steal players, and you got all of Mississippi to yourself. Why would you do that? So I don't think they're going to get. I don't think the search is going to merit what they think it's going to merit. Huh?
Because of the money.
Yeah,
well, they're going to have. But that's my point. They're going to have to write another big check. And do you want to be paying two guys in excess of $125 million?
Obviously, they have no problems with it. If they paid off Jimbo.
Well, I tell you what, if they do that, if they pay another coach $50 million to come in, then they're the problem. Now we know where the real problem is.
But here's the other part of that. Here's the other part of that, though. It's because of how much money the SEC is making and how much money they're about to make in the new TV deal that they can afford to do that, and alongside with being in Texas with all that Texas oil money. That's where that comes from.
I just think that, and listen, you guys may be right. I just don't know the coach. Who could they steal? Unless the offer is just insane. Like they say, Nick, we're gonna pay you $125 million. Nick's like, okay, cool, I'm out.
Okay, cool.
So, but I just don't know. Who, right? I don't know who they could go steal at this point.
I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to see. Once it's all said down, all the speculation, but it'd be interesting. They're gonna have to, whoever comes in is gonna have to re-recruit some of their players because there is going to be a lot of cherry picking from that group. And I know Coach Prime and Colorado, they got their eyes on a few of those linemen.
He'll have practically the whole offensive line.
And I said that running back Owens, he was originally committed to Louisville in the first place.
He may be recommitted here coming up here soon. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all unfolds. But Texas A&M, people are going to start backing up their shopping carts up there like it's Sam's.
You ain't lying.
Who you got shouting out this week?
I'm gonna shout out my Lady Seminoles basketball team. They beat Tennessee this past
win. Real good win.
Mm-hmm.
I was blessed to be able to watch it in person, so it was really, really good for Coach Brooke, who just had surgery like a week ago or so.
Oh, wow.
But she was actually on the sideline coaching them up, which was, to me, I'm not sure. It was impressive, but hopefully she's fine. But it was a great win. And we play Florida tomorrow. Actually, it's a doubleheader. The men and the women play Florida back-to-back in Gainesville this year. So looking forward to seeing how they continue to progress. And the men have been playing well. Of course, they've been playing, some teams. But in the past, we've seen them struggle. Actually lost some games last year to the teams that they played so far. So it's off to a good start for both the men and women's basketball team here at Florida State. So I'm shouting out Coach Brooke and the lady team for beating Tennessee.
College women's basketball is off to an amazing start. It has been nothing short of outstanding.
Right. I mean,
Michael
much Wilbon even said it on Pardon the Interruption the other day. He's like, I'm excited about women's college basketball. I'm like, man, you need to step it up because I'm not excited to watch you.
I'm not. If we're being honest, I'm not. The women are bringing it. Who was that just played the other day? Iowa and Virginia Tech. That was a heck of a game. Oh my goodness.
The showcase men's games haven't been bad. I mean, they've been pretty
Well,
good.
Tuesday was
I get
decent.
too carried away.
Yeah, Tuesday was good. No,
Tuesday
was
was good, and
Tuesday
the
was
Duke
good.
Arizona game on what Friday? That game was
Yeah,
good too. There's been
that's
some
pretty
good
good.
men's games. Where they,
But all the way across the board, the women have been outstanding.
the women have been.
Let's
And
be
part of it too is they've had more marquee matchups so far than the men have. But
They have. They absolutely have.
the men's games have been great. That Kentucky Kansas game was great.
Yeah.
My shout out is a kind of a tongue in cheek shout out. When there's something you've been wanting to do for years and it's obvious, and you finally see that smidgen of light to do it, and you pounce on it and you choke it out on TV. Shout out to Draymond Green.
He forgot that. He forgot that he was at the NBA.
He really did. He really did. Because he was like,
poor
yes.
Gobert. Yeah, but poor Gobert had nothing to do with nothing.
He hates him.
Gobert had nothing to do with nothing. He was just in the vicinity of Clay. And here comes Draymond.
I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna say that.
He may have had it. He was not causing any kind of harm to Klay Thompson.
I ain't gonna say that.
And here comes the junkyard dog.
I don't know what he was gonna do. Let me just say that. Because in real time, when
Rudy
you slow it
wasn't
down,
gonna
it
do
looks like he
anything.
was innocent.
Rudy wasn't
When
going
you
to
slow
do
it down, it
anything.
looks like he's innocent.
We're talking about Rudy Gobert. He wasn't going to do anything.
Probably not, but
Trying to be a peacemaker.
well,
He was trying
Frenchmen are known to be peacemakers. That is true.
And,
But-
Cat did absolutely nothing, and he's right
That
there.
was the shocking part. He did nothing. He was like, my brother, you on your own.
Shout out to the NBA being feisty again.
The NBA was feisty the other night.
Yeah,
It was like 4 fights.
Yeah, this is good.
Or pseudo fights. Or
It was
this
four
version.
NBA fights.
Listen, we sound ridiculous saying there were 4 fights to a guy that has literally been in an actual NBA fight. So we apologize, Charlie, for classifying any of this as fight.
Who watched his coach clean the Alonzo Mourning's leg.
We apologize. Now that it's setting in what we're doing, Charlie, we apologize for calling any of this fighting. These scuffles or
kerfuffles.
I was in a fight. I was in a scuffle.
You was in a scuffle. Okay. That was a scuffle. So yeah, these are the same things.
Shout out
I
to
don't even know if you call
Draymond
these
Green.
scuffles. I don't know what these are.
Shout out to Draymond for taking advantage of an opportunity when he saw
Oh boy, did he take advantage. He earned that 5 days vacation.
It should have been more than that for all the stuff he's been doing this year.
Well, yeah, he's also a feisty move for some reason. I don't understand, but maybe he just wants to spend more time with his kids. I don't know, but
That commercial is cute.
it is beautiful.
Yeah.
What's that, Charlie?
I said, "Is Draymond Green like?"
Yeah. All right, people. This has been so much fun, as it always is. Should be an interesting weekend this weekend. And let's see if Louisville can close the deal. And then we got ourselves an ACC title game.
They really don't even have to win, because I mean, if Clemson beats North Carolina, they get in anyway.
Yeah.
I think there's a whole lot of weird math that Virginia Tech still has an outside shot, but I think it's pretty much.
I think it's Louisville's to lose at this point.
Yeah.
They control
just
their own
win,
destiny.
and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, you win, it's over. It's game. So, all right, people. Appreciate y'all. Shout out to the rewatch and love everybody. We'll be back next week. Do it all over again. Kendrick Haskins, Lloyd Spence, and the great scuffle master himself, Charlie Ward.
King of the kerfuffle.
King of the kerfuffle.
I forgot.
You've been. I stopped it, Charlie. I stopped it. Go ahead.
Oh, I forgot. I need to shout out my man Jameis Winston. Jameis getting his jersey retired this weekend.
Oh, he is?
The 10th year of the 2013 national championship. So
Oh, wow. I guess it has been 10 years. Wow.
Wow, yeah. Congrats.
One of the best college quarterbacks ever.
I agree.
He was one of the best, for sure.
And he's one of the most watchable quarterbacks in the NFL right now because you don't know what Jameis is going to do.
I tell you what. I think Jameis, much like RG3, when his career is over in the NFL, I think he's going to make a ton of money in somebody's broadcast booth. He's just got a watchable quality.
Or stand-up comedy.
Or stand-up comedy. He could go that route as well. One or the other. He's got a career in front of the camera.
Jameis is hilarious.
He's a funny guy. He's a funny guy. All right, people. Now we're closing. You guys have a good week. You've been listening to Believe in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard.